10 months is a good time to make a second video. I'm still new to the whole making videos thing. Oh, and by the way, the first video I made, apparently someone posted it on the Balance Discord. Like, I was not expecting that at all, but if you're gonna post my videos in public Discord, may I suggest that you also post this image along with them. If you don't post the image, the video doesn't work. Now, you might have noticed the video is unlisted, and that's because I rebranded that channel to the game that I've been working on for 8 months, which you can wishlist now on Steam.
And now I'm back to give you the Final Fantasy content you deserve.
And because I don't know what the fuck to do in this game. But anyways, back to the title. Beating Final Fantasy without using a single ability. No, the point of this video is not to shit on the game, because I already did that in the Summoner video. Honestly, with this challenge, I actually enjoyed playing A Realm Reborn again. Because you are dealing the lowest amount of damage, it changes a few things. Like, you must have good gear, at least for the weapon, but you don't have a lot of gil early on. And since you're not allowed to get help from other players, your gil actually matters. So managing your gil with the market board prices added the fun challenge. So I really enjoyed doing the base game with this challenge. Not the dungeons though. I don't know when or if I'll continue for the rest of the expansions, since they're basically more of the same, but if you guys would like to see it, then I'll be happy to do it. The entire run took about 15 hours. Now, of course, it could have taken a lot less if I queued with other players, but I decided to go with NPCs for the entire game. So if you ever tried doing dungeons with NPCs and found it very slow and boring, yeah, imagine on top of that, you do them with auto attacks only for all of A Realm Reborn dungeons. And in case you're wondering why I did it with NPCs, well, because I didn't want my handicap to slow down other players, because I wouldn't want it for myself. Like, if I'm just queuing for a dungeon and I match with someone called No Skills who's doing negative fucking damage, I probably have places to be, and it would frustrate me to waste so much time because of that person. Although for trials it wouldn't matter, a lot of the time you match with sprouts who, like me when I was a sprout, spend most of the fight on the floor. And it's a very short fight, so it really doesn't make a difference if you do auto attacks only. But still, I went with NPCs for all of them, except one trial where I failed with NPCs. I'll let you guess which one. It starts with the letter Ifrit Neo. And by the way, the whole run is recorded in 5 parts, linked in the description. Also, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to commentate over them next time. Now, in terms of the rules for the challenge, like, what is considered an ability and what isn't? Is sprint an ability because it just saves you time? Well, the rules are anything that has the word skill or ability is an ability. So the only actions that I'm allowed to use are things like teleport, return, sprint, limit break, and obviously auto attacks. However, for the limit break, since I didn't think I'd need it, I decided not to use it as well. So in terms of dealing damage, I only have auto attacks for the entire game, just shooting tiny arrows. Might as well call them darts. Now, I probably have other questions like, why do I have my abilities on my hotbar if I'm not going to use them? Or maybe you're wondering which parts were the most difficult. I'll answer all these questions as we go over the run. So without further ado, let's get into it. Quick reminder, if you like these types of videos and would like to see more of them, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. Thank you very much, and let's get into it. Our journey begins in character creation. First thing I did was to create my character on a preferred server to get the huge XP boost. The higher my level, the more damage my auto attacks do, which is the only source of damage, so why not? And this was before I decided I'll run dungeons with NPCs, so I wasn't sure between naming him No Abilities or No Skills. I decided to name him No Skills, since maybe people will think I'm just calling myself bad at the game instead of I will intentionally ruin your dungeon run. Immediately after I logged in, I logged out to import my hotbar from my main character, and then I cleaned it up a little bit. Now, the reason I left some actions on my hotbar is because if I use an ability on a hidden hotbar that you can't see, it will go on cooldown on all hotbars, including the one that you can see. So by having a single global cooldown and all of my off global cooldown visible, you'll be able to tell if I used them or not. Now, this is something that I picked up in the start of the run, but quickly dropped it, and it was a waste of time. Because initially I thought I'm gonna be doing my class quests along with the MSQ, but because of the preferred server XP boost, I didn't really need the XP from it. As for the weapons, well, I just checked the market board and bought some cheap, high quality ones that are at my current level, instead of having to do a lot of class quests to catch up to your level, then get a normal quality weapon anyway. Also, I didn't even unlock the bard job through the entire run, and so yeah, I stayed archer for the whole thing. Obviously, the early stages weren't expected to be difficult, so it was just fetch quests and shooting tiny arrows. Fetch quests, tiny arrows, fetch quests, tiny arrows. There was nothing big happening, no problem. Then I reached the first solo duty. Obviously, this wasn't a problem at all. The NPCs were able to deal enough damage almost by themselves. Actually, I don't know if they even can deal enough damage by themselves. I don't think it should be possible, but I haven't tested it. But like with auto attacks, it definitely worked. On normal mode too. I didn't have to reduce the difficulty. In case you didn't know, a while back they added the option to choose easier difficulties after you fail a solo duty once. And honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do this challenge if it wasn't for this change. A bunch of quests and tiny arrows later, we get to our third solo duty, which is the one where you protect the Moogle. If you choose your targets correctly, it should be fine. So I killed the healer, the ranged, and then the melee. Small legs running, fourth solo duty, target priority, gets the job done. More running on small legs, and it was time to visit other cities. We attuned to the crystals in Limsa and Ul'dah, and it was time for our first dungeon. Before I entered the dungeon, I checked the market board in case there's something good and cheap, just to speed it up a little bit, because dungeons with NPCs and auto attacks only is without a doubt a method of torture, and it should be banned in some countries. I really don't recommend you try this. Maybe try the challenge, but not the dungeons with NPCs part. So like, I will spare you the torture of watching someone auto-attacking mobs with NPCs. So from now on, I won't be showing dungeons unless something interesting happens. So 3 dungeons later, it was time for another solo duty. This one gives you some time to fight one enemy before the other 2 join him, but kiting them did the trick. I don't know if kiting was necessary here, to be honest. I kind of just didn't want to take the risk. And then it was time to say goodbye to part 1 and the first 3-hour session. Day 2, back on the MSQ grind, running, and some more running, and I found myself in the presence of the floating Lala of the desert, which is also known as a RMT bot account, also known as people who make money in MMOs through a ton of bots. Pretty much every MMO has them. There was a big drama a while ago about like a bot mafia or something in World of Warcraft after a guy exposed them, but they're like everywhere. But anyways, a bunch of quests and a solo duty later, and we unlock our first trial and the first point where I failed. I've tried doing it with NPCs at first, but the damage they deal to the nail is just too low to rely completely on them. I even gave it another try because I got the echo buff and I thought maybe now I can, but nah. I failed again. In the end, I had to do it the good old duty finder way. It took like 10-12 seconds to kill the nail, so it's obviously what I should have done. But whenever I can use NPCs, I'm gonna use them. More quests, and we finally say goodbye to small legs and hello to big chicken legs. And as I'm doing my MSQ, all of a sudden, at first I thought he was trying to recruit me for his FC, because when you get sniped by someone randomly, it's usually that. If it's not like complimenting your glam or asking you to join their party finder, something like that. And I can't blame them because it's pretty difficult to recruit people these days in my opinion. But yeah, apparently this guy's just making friends with new players, and he also streams. So basically he's just going around chilling, making friends. More dungeons, solo duties, and of course bot accounts doing their thing, fighting from below the ground as usual. Then we unlock Companion for the extra DPS and potential heal, which is great. After that I went to gear up, but I actually bought dexterity potions and food and healing potions. And to be honest, the thing that helped me the most this run was the health potions. I feel like some fights are just not doable without healing potions, if you're doing auto attacks only, of course. And a few quests later, I've reached the solo duty that is purely a DPS check. Basically, you're racing against this guy to see who breaks the rock first. He has to break this tiny rock while you have to break this giant boulder. And of course, being the Chad Lalafell that I am, I told him, you know what? I'ma break my rock without using a single ability. And after 3 minutes of asserting dominance, I was able to fail the duty without even getting close. But as soon as I picked the very easy mode that I mentioned before, I was able to do it no problem. And the challenge continued. Quests, dungeons, and trials, and day 2 ends. Day 3, we finally reach snow, meaning we're around level 40 in the MSQ, so we're pretty close. Everything was going fine until I reached another solo duty where I failed. The biggest problem with dealing very low damage is healers. Just when you're about to kill them, they heal themselves. And if you try to attack anybody else, they just won't die. I've tried keeping their health equal to another mob so that maybe they can be distracted by healing the other mob and then you kill them, but it just didn't work. Also, it's way faster to just fail on purpose and then choose very easy, which I should have done later on. Another solo duty that I failed, which again, I should have just failed on purpose and did it on very easy because I just wasted a lot of time. More dungeons, more solo duties, and of course a ton of speedrunning quests, and we are near the end of the game. I started to fail duties a lot more near the end, but then I got to this duty. This is the final boss for me. Like, the final boss is not as hard as this one when you're auto attacks only. I wasted so much time on this guy, and it's not that it's hard, of course. You're just running around auto attacking. It's just how long he takes. And it's my fault, of course, because I haven't killed myself as soon as I started and chose very easy. Doing it on normal with auto attacks only is just a nightmare. You start the fight with 60 minutes on the clock, and I'm just doing my auto attacks, I'm kiting, I'm just doing what I can. 13 minutes of auto attacks and kiting, and then he starts doing an enrage mechanic. He has 12% of his health left, and keep in mind, I'm doing 0.4% of his health with every auto attack. So at that point, I was like, alright, let's get done with this. Let's do it on very easy and get this over with. I should have done this from the start. I wasted 13 minutes of my life. So I was just preparing to die. You can see me try to wall it, but I can't kill myself. But then I was like, you know what, I'll just spam potions and see what happens. So I kept using my healing potions, and I don't know how, but it just worked. But after you kill him, he spawns 4 ads, and I'm doing 4% of their health per shot. That's 4 out of 400. So 100 auto attacks later and 10 minutes, and I was like, okay, this has to be it. Okay, this is over. I've been here for half an hour. This has to be done. But then he gets back up with full HP. At this point, I was sure I'm gonna lose on time. Like, if I don't die to him, I'm definitely losing on time. And about 15 minutes later, he's dead again. The cutscene plays. It's finally over. Or that's what you think. He pulls you in, locks you in a fire puddle so you can't move out, hits you with AoEs that you can't avoid. Like 40 minutes into the fight and now you lock me in a damage check? Like, are you f***ing serious right now? I can't use abilities. I'm probably gonna fail this check 40 minutes in. The healing potions I bought weren't the best, and I don't remember buying a lot of them. So I was like, okay, this has to be it. Okay, this is over now. But somehow, by spamming healing potions and auto attacking inside of his fire puddle, it actually worked out, and he died for the final time on normal mode. That's the weird thing. I didn't have to switch to very easy, but it took 40 minutes. Once that fight was over, pretty much the game was over. I just kept auto attacking my way through the rest of the dungeons with NPCs. I used an LB where I think you have to, because the NPCs didn't do it, but it's not an ability anyway, and if I queued with other players, they would do it. And with the power of auto attacks and tiny arrows, I was able to beat the game without using a single ability. The credits roll, the challenge is over. My initial thoughts, honestly, I really enjoyed this challenge. Of course, besides dungeons, but at first I thought it sounds boring, like auto attacks only, really? But I don't know what it is. Replaying a game that you love with specific restrictions gives that new experience feel, similar to what you felt the first time you played it. In terms of my thoughts on like what this means, like clearing the game with auto attacks only, first of all, this is MSQ, so I don't think it means anything that you're able to clear all of the MSQ with the auto attacks only, because in my opinion, the main purpose of the MSQ is to experience the story. So clearing all of the MSQ, even in all of the expansions, doesn't necessarily mean that the game is super easy. However, having this extremely low DPS check isn't good either, because you end up matching with players who just don't know how buttons work. But the way they solve this, or they think they solve this, is like I mentioned in my last video, by making everything else require less and less effort so that more of those players can successfully clear them. In summary, yes, MSQ is mainly for experiencing the story, but also it shouldn't be that low of a DPS check. I mean, I doubt you can do this challenge in other MMOs. But if we do ask ourselves if we can take the next step from this, so like, can you auto attack only in Savage and Ultimates? Well, in my opinion, you definitely can if it's only you. There's always been people who, they're always like on the party finder selling clears for Ultimates, and some of them post prices for piloting your account, or if you want to stay on your account, it doesn't matter. You can stay on the floor and they just want you to do certain mechanics, or they'll even rescue you into them. I mean, kind of like what that Asmongold's friend did when he got triple legend. I don't know, I forgot his name, the guy with the mustache. Yeah, that's exactly what the people who sell clears do, basically. Also, you have the 100 deaths challenge on UCOB, so some ultimates just have a low DPS check that I'm pretty sure if one player auto attacks only, it should be fine. So it depends, but I think it's definitely doable, especially if you have a good team. Maybe one of you guys will try it and send me the video of you clearing it with auto attacks only. This video was just an idea popped in my head and I just wanted to make it. And I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you made it all the way till the end of the video, I will send you 5 gil in game when I see you, or a cookie, depending on the day. I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and maybe subscribe if you want to see my next video. Keep loving Final Fantasy XIV, and I will see you later.